Hello, this is Dr. Chris Pickard with a revolutionary approach to healthcare here in Brookman's Park in sunny Hertfordshire. And today, well actually this week we've been talking about hydration. The reason I'm wearing this t-shirt is nothing to do with hydration, it's just that it's Friday and I just come and do work inside the business rather than seeing patients. That's why I don't look so professional. So this week we've been talking about hydration. We've spoken about a number of things that aid the hydration process, some things that don't necessarily aid the hydration process, but they aid part of what hydration can help you with. And so today is Friday, and as I'm a doctor, I'm going to talk about a very serious health problem or health concern: medicinal alcohol. Is it good for you? Is it not? Well, here's a little prop. It must be good for you if it comes with a cross on the front. This is a Hungarian liquor called Unicum, full of herbs, and it is quite a good pick-me-up actually. It lasts me about 2 years, a bottle of this. So there you go, I do drink alcohol. So, is alcohol good for you? Is it not good for you? Can it be used in medicinal purposes? Well, I don't know how many of you have read any of the original Sherlock Holmes books. If you have, you will know that Dr. Watson's top remedy for pretty much any situation was, if you're a man or a woman, was a glass of brandy. And if you're a man, you would have a cigar as well. Throughout the entire series of books, of short stories, no matter what it was, glass of brandy, Dr. Watson, glass of brandy and cigar for the men. I mean, it was just absolutely, that was his entire repertoire. It really was quite amazing. But, you know, whereas alcohol, it does have some properties, like it does help dilate blood vessels, things like that. Yes, alcohol, strictly speaking, is an antioxidant. But the problem is it gets broken down into an aldehyde, and an aldehyde is really, really bad for you. And that's the thing that gives you, you know, all the head stuff, all the headaches and all the nasty feelings afterwards. And there's a lot of controversy about whether alcohol in moderate amounts is good for you or whether it's bad for you. Some studies a few years ago were saying actually people who drink, moderately, as in maybe a glass of wine a day, maybe 2 glasses at most, maybe live a little bit longer. Whereas other studies said definitely not. And last year, there was another study that looked again at all the studies, and they said that doesn't seem to be any real benefit to drinking alcohol, even in moderate amounts on a regular basis. There's certainly, if you're having, 10 units a week, but it's all happening at the weekend, that is not a survival strategy. So yeah, alcohol, it's pretty much out the window, I'm afraid. Bad news there for long-term health. However, there is something called the 80, or how do I do this backwards, 20 rule. Did I there? 80-20 rule. Okay, and this is how I pretty much live my life. 20% of what you do brings 80% of your results. And it's pretty much strictly true with everything, whether you're talking about your business, whether you're talking about your health, mental attitude, your interactions. It's only 20% of what you do really counts for the majority of what you do. And you can scale this down actually, and it basically about 1% of what you do brings back 50% of your results. But it's also about having all the kind of balance between different things. And we know that alcohol does feel nice in small amounts. So yeah, I am not a complete health freak 80% of the time. 20% of the time, I am actually pretty relaxed about the entire thing. And yes, I do have a sherry glass full of red wine, maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week if I'm really letting my hair down. I do drink beer with my friends, and I will have 2 or sometimes 3. I have Yeah, occasional hard spirits as well, especially if they're herb liquor with citrus fruit extracts. In Hungary, lots of people actually swear by this as actually being the reason why they actually live a long time, and stopping hangovers. Never tried that though. So, and there are other, alcohol, because in alcohol, some things actually get better in alcohol. Some nutrients are absorbed better with alcohol, but most of them aren't, and alcohol destroys most of those things. So, if you are going to drink alcohol on a regular basis, there are some things and some guidelines that I'd really recommend that you follow. And in fact, even if you're not drinking alcohol on a regular basis and you're just drinking it occasionally, you want to make sure that it's as clean of strange chemicals as possible. Now, so that means red wine, which you might think, okay, red wine is just red wine and white wine is just white wine. But it's not. Being organic makes a difference because the pesticides that are used to grow them ends up in the grapes, and it ends up in the wine, and it ends up in you. Where the grapes are grown also has a great effect on what health properties might actually be in the wine. So organic wine from the Rhone Valley, for instance, is going to have more antioxidants and more benefits than wine that's not from there. But always look for organic wine, and always look for whether it's being bottled at source, because this can be the difference between having an almighty hangover and not having an almighty hangover. Because it's the chemicals that they put in when it's not bottled at source that can actually be causing the problems with your liver and then your head, and causing further problems. While we're on the subject of wine again, there was a study, I think that was earlier this year or towards the end of last year, saying 2 glasses of champagne was good for you. So there is some confusion. There is definitely confusion about how much is good or how much is bad. When it comes to beers, you must look at what's at the brewing process. Now, I'm a fan of proper bitter, but there's all kinds of strange stuff that can actually end up going in there. So again, you've got to look for organic. If you want a safe bet, always go for the proper German beers brewed in Germany, because in Germany they have strict purity laws that the only things that can go in there are basically the water and the hops and the barley, and that's it in the yeast. So German purity laws are fantastic. Belgians, yes, they might do a lot of beers. Don't know enough about how many of them put strange stuff in there. Wines, spirits, different spirits are going to have different effects on different people. So most people can tolerate, if you really want to drink alcohol, then vodka is nearly always going to be the most tolerable of all the alcohols. But again, there's some cheap, fake, nasty stuff out there, because the thing about alcohol, especially vodkas and stuff, it's completely clear. But vodka should be pretty much tasteless as well when it's pure. So, while I'm on that, I'm going to get onto the subject of cocktails. Cocktails, you can of course put in lots of healthy stuff, and you can make non-alcoholic cocktails. And one of my mentors, Dr. Daniel Pompa, has got an excellent recipe for a Moscow Mule with or without the vodka. So I'm going to put a link to his recipe on this Facebook broadcast afterwards, and a link to some other healthy drinks and smoothies that don't contain any alcohol. So please remember that health, it's all for you to live a long time, but please enjoy yourselves. And when you are enjoying yourselves, enjoy yourselves responsibly. Don't put too much of a burden on yourself. You really don't have to. You really don't have to. Now, the other thing I should just say about alcohol is your body treats alcohol like really bad fat. It will just break it down and try and store it as fat almost immediately if it can. So yeah, alcohol, not good if you're actually trying to gain back your health. Now, what else have I got to say? Next week I'm either going to be doing movement or sleep or detoxification. If I do get if I get a request for doing one of those next week, then that's the one I'll do next. And also I'm going to be doing a webinar on the Magnificent 7 So I'm going to try and sort of cover a lot of things. And then, so it's just going to be one webinar. It's going to have a lot of stuff in there. I am going to introduce something at the end of it as well. I'm going to plan it for either next Thursday night or the Thursday after. So if you would, hello Karen. So if you would like a link to the webinar, if I've got your email address and you're already getting my emails, then you're going to get a link to it. I might even do it on Facebook actually, and then upload it to YouTube, because I have found that I can actually upload all these to YouTube, all these things. So this week's Facebook broadcasts are now actually on YouTube as well. So yeah, that's the next thing, is webinar, bring the whole lot together. Okay, live long and prosper everyone, thumbs up, and if you're in my 365, I will be having my weekly update there very shortly. Be well.